All right, let's talk about dynamics in music. We're going to talk about their symbols and their meanings. Dynamics tell us how quietly or loudly a piece of music should be performed. Dynamics are an important way of conveying the mood of a piece, and your use of dynamics is a marked element of your performance. Composers use dynamics to change the mood, give expression, and basically just give life to a piece of music. This is the first dynamic symbol we're going to talk about. It is fortissimo. Fortissimo means very loud. An example of something very loud would be like a tornado siren. And I'm actually going to turn my volume down just a little bit because it is very loud. Tornado sirens are loud enough that the whole entire city can hear it. Okay? So that is something that is definitely very loud. Okay? The next dynamic symbol we're going to talk about is forte. Forte just means loud. An example of something that is forte would be like a game buzzer. Nice and loud, everybody can hear it. Okay? Our next dynamic symbol we're going to talk about is mezzo forte. The M stands for mezzo, the F stands for forte. Mezzo forte means medium loud. An example of something that is mezzo forte is like a dog barking. Nothing too crazy. All right. Our next dynamic is mezzo piano. Mezzo piano means medium, soft, or quiet. The best example I could think of it would be like a conversation between two people, or like when you're at a restaurant. You know that the people next to you are talking, but you can't necessarily make out their conversation. It's medium, soft, or quiet. Okay? Our next dynamic marking is piano. Piano means soft or quiet. Think of like a whisper, like an energized whisper where you've got a really great secret or a really great story to tell someone, but you don't want to say it too loudly. That's an example of piano, something soft and quiet. Our next dynamic marking is pianissimo, double P, okay? Pianissimo means very soft or quiet. An example of something that's very soft or quiet would be like a cat purring. Nice and gentle. All right, our next dynamic symbol is a sforzando. A sforzando means suddenly loud, okay? An example of this would be your alarm clock waking you up in the morning. All of a sudden, it's nice and loud, gets you up, okay? The next symbol we're going to talk about is called a crescendo. The crescendo, if you're looking at it from left to right, starts closed and then opens up nice and big. That's because when we crescendo, our sound is going to get gradually louder. Think of when you are like sitting in the car and all of a sudden you hear police sirens or a fire sirens behind you. And as it approaches you, it gets louder and louder and louder as that siren gets closer and closer to you. So it just keeps getting louder and louder. That's an example of a crescendo. Okay? Our next dynamic marking is the opposite of a crescendo. It's called a decrescendo. So it starts open, nice and loud, and then we're going to gradually get softer and quieter. An example of something that is a decrescendo would be like a train leaving. So it starts nice and loud, and then as it leaves, it gets softer and softer and softer because the sound is moving away from you. Okay? All right, so let's go over. Here's our brief review of all of the dynamic symbols we just talked about. Remember, dynamics tell us how loud or soft we're going to sing, and they're important because they give life, emotion, and mood to a piece of music, okay? Here are all of our dynamics. Double F is fortissimo. It means very loud. An example is a tornado siren. Our single F is forte, just means loud. And an example would be a buzzer. MF, mezzo forte, medium or moderately loud. An example would be a dog barking. MP, mezzo piano, medium or moderately soft or quiet. An example would be having a conversation. Our single P, piano, soft or quiet. An example would be whispering. My double P, pianissimo, very soft or quiet. My example would be a cat purring. SFZ is your sforzando, suddenly loud. Example being an alarm clock. This symbol right here is a crescendo, and it means to get gradually louder. A fire truck siren coming toward you is an example of this. And then the opposite way is a decrescendo, and that means to get gradually softer or quieter. An example of this would be a train moving away or a train leaving the station.